Radio, featuring authors Michael Muhammad and Khalifa Muhammad. Nat Turner Library Radio.
You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. If you are offended by black people discussing our suffering, black people discussing our struggle, and black people talking about solutions to our problems, then this show is not for you. You have been warned. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Welcome to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Another hard-hitting subject, another day. Welcome. Separation. The benefits of doing for self. Brothers and sisters, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I'm your host, executive producer of the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. This is Brother Michael Muhammad here in the great city of Atlanta. I'd like to welcome you. First-time listeners, I see the board is lit up. Tonight's show is our guest. Will be coming up at around 8:30. She's a very busy sister, helping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and helping black people and indigenous people all over the world to be free. Tonight's subject is part 2. Last week we had Student Minister Abdul Halim Muhammad, Ph.D. of Muhammad's Mosque, number 45 in Houston. And tonight's guest will be Student Minister, National Spokesperson for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Ava Muhammad, who is forthcoming. Wonderful, strong, powerful, knowledgeable, spiritually inclined sister who is going to give us further into the discussion of separation. Most necessary subject and most necessary topic, and the benefits of doing for self or doing what we need to do to make sure we have freedom, justice, and equality. You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio. Call-in number for those who are listening. If you know someone who needs to listen in, or if your signal is not good on the Internet, call-in number to listen in or to chime in on the discussion, which may be available later on, will be area code 515-605-9882. 515-605-9882. But before we do anything, let me greet all of the family in the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. To my Hebrew family, we say shalom alaikum. To the family of Kemetic science and ancient Egyptology, we say hotep. To my Christian family, of course, we say praise the Lord. To the Nawapian family, in the Anunnakian language, we say rahubat. To my Black Panther family, to the family of black consciousness everywhere, we say black power. And, of course, to our 5% family, or those who are just listening, we say peace to the gods. And for all of those who just want to listen in, we greet you in peace. If you come in peace, we greet you in peace, and we say good evening and welcome to Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, again, forthcoming at around 8:30 is Student Minister, National Spokesperson for the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan, Dr. Ava Muhammad. We believe that sister, I spoke with her earlier. She is, of course, conducting a study group tonight. Tomorrow she'll be in Detroit, continuing the tour of separation. She's been all over the country. She was in Phoenix. She was in Tampa. She's been all over the country talking to the people about separation and its most important thing, gathering information, giving information. So, brothers and sisters, again, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio. You can follow tonight's information, and you can get a preview of the news, which will be forthcoming with our sister Tangela, who is our news consultant. You can get a preview of the news for tonight by going to Facebook and type in Nat Turner Library Radio. That's at Facebook. You just simply type in Nat Turner Library Radio. You'll see Nat Turner Library Radio Network and the Nat Turner Library family. All you have to do is like the page, of course, first and foremost, like it, so you can get our notifications and you can understand what we're doing. You also get to get an idea of the news and the websites for our guest, Sister Dr. Ava, as well as those friends and families of the Nat Turner family websites. We have a very, very powerful show tonight. But first, when we want to make sure, brothers and sisters, we always like taking care of our family. So Brother Mark Muhammad, who was on our show about a month ago, he was giving us his health condition, how it got there. He has a fundraiser still going on to help his condition. This is a good brother, friend of mine, former roommate of mine. You go to GoFundMe.com, or you go to our Facebook page. You simply look at the fundraiser section as we go through the news, seeing the post there. Mark's, if you go to GoFundMe.com and you type in Mark Muhammad, you'll see Mark's Health Recovery Fund. It's a brother with glasses. And right here in the city of Atlanta, Brother Abdul Rab Muhammad, brother who has been well known from New York to down here in Atlanta. He also is battering liver cancer, brothers and sisters. If you go to GoFundMe.com or you go to our Facebook page and you see the link there, you can help support the fund because we know medicine isn't cheap. One of his daughters has set up a Save Our Dad, a cancer battle GoFundMe page. That link is also on the Nat Turner page. You can also support black-e-books.com to support the Nat Turner Library itself. Support your host. That's me. I'm an author and your brother, publisher, publishing a book that has been out since about May of this year. It's called Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, which is part one. The Black Woman, a study into the research of how black people got to be what the condition we're in from the psychological perspective as well as a financial perspective and other things dealing all in between. You go to bromichaelmuhammad.com and support some of the other show hosts we have here, blackhistorykoloringbooks.com. That's our sister A.J. Jones. Support daughter of Baba Khalifa, founder of the Nat Turner Property at easylightsources.org and khabooks.com. That brings me to the origin of the Nat Turner. Why is it called Nat Turner Library Radio Show? Nat Turner Property is owned by a friend of the Honorable Ms. Luz Farrakhan, Elder Baba Khalifa in Southampton County. He's a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Elder Baba H. Khalifa, the only brother who was publishing the books of the Nation of Islam when during the 70s, late 70s, it was they were gathered up and wasn't being published. He's a true brother. He has 123 acres of beautiful land in the Nat Turner country, and his goal is to compile every black book being published by black people into one library that we have as our own Library of Congress, if you would, and that is Elder Baba Khalifa. We give respect to his dearly departed wife, Sister Rita Fard Khalifa, who's no longer with us. May Allah be pleased with her. EasyLightSources.org is a book dealing with health and science. You'll hear the commercials later. And KHABooks.com is a place where you can buy a lot of these books. Follow us on Instagram, 6X Method. That's the letter 6, the letter X Method. Follow us on Twitter on NTLR-radio. It's Nat Turner Library-radio. And your brother, Brother Michael Muhammad, yours truly, will be on Transparency Library Radio Show not tomorrow, but the October 6th at 1 p.m. To 2 p.m. We'll have our sister authoress Destiny Divine. She has a wonderful show, which is simply called Transparency Library Radio Show. And if you're in Atlanta, brothers and sisters, a couple restaurants I want you to support, along with my brothers over there at Moorish Medicine in Atlanta, which we talked about the last couple of weeks. We have the Blue Seas, beautiful, delicious food, the addictive macaroni and cheese being made by believers here in Atlanta, 890 Joseph E. Boulevard, 8 Joseph E. Boone Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia. Shout-outs to my minister, student minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad. He's part owner of the restaurant. And to our sister and brother who owns Sage Juice Bar in Duluth. They have study group going on right now. Shout-outs to the family. to the study group, student minister, assistant minister, student minister Khalees Muhammad, who's conducting study group over there at Sage Juice Bar in Duluth. Brothers and sisters, phone number out there to Sage Juice Bar is 404-330-8818 if you're ever in Atlanta. And we want you to continue to give respect to Dr. Ridgely Momeen, who was our guest a couple of weeks ago. Support the 3-year economic program, brothers and sisters, the economicblueprint.org. You go to that website. You know, black-owned farms is what we need. He's doing it every day. And for the believers, when you're doing your charity receipt on the TNP website, if those who know what I'm referring to, support the 3-year economic program. That's your food, brothers and sisters. And every Thursday, our guest, Dr. Ava Muhammad, is doing her own show on Blog Talk System called Elevated Places. Elevated Places. So you just simply go to blogtalkradio.com, type in Elevated Places, and on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, you can listen in or you can call in at 563-999-3065. That's 563-999-3065. You can also hashtag Ask Dr. Ava. That's ASKDRAVA. And this is a powerful sister. You know, a lot of people, you know, want to know certain things. That's her availability. Now, for the Transparency Library that I mentioned earlier that I'll be a part of, it's a sister named author is Destiny Divine. She has her blogtalkradio.com /WTLR. You can call in at 646-787-8181. That's it for our announcements, brothers and sisters. And what we have coming up.
Mr. Muhammad.
Yes?
It is time for the news with Sister Tangela.
Indeed it is. Sister Tangela, are you there, beloved sister?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Tangela. Welcome to tonight's episode of the Nat Turner Library Radio. The news. We all want to know what's going on. So how are you feeling, Sister Tangela?
Doing very well, sir. And yourself?
I am doing well, by Allah's permission. Thank you, Sister Tangela. What do we have going on this week, sister?
Assalamu alaikum, family. Greetings to everyone. The first article we have is National Black Police Association supports Colin Kaepernick Nike deal. Multiple police organizations have condemned Nike for featuring former San Francisco 49er Colin Kaepernick in its latest ad campaign. The National Fraternal Order of Police and the National Association of Police Organizations have both criticized the move, implying it was an insult to law enforcement officers. The National Black Police Association has now come to the athlete's defense, saying he has a First Amendment right to peacefully protest on a football field.
Come on.
So, yeah, I know. So thankful to our black officers stepping up to their plate and being a champion for Colin Kaepernick and saying that this is not what he's trying to do. He's not trying to, go against the police.
Absolutely. So what was your comment on this, Sister Tangela?
I just gave it.
Well, if I may give my comment, how does that sound?
Well, but my comment is simply that I think, we more black organizations need to come out and support Colin Kaepernick if they feel that he's doing the right thing. And I think that was a great thing for them to do, is come out and support him.
Well, I remember back during the rally and the tour that the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan did for the 10-10-15 march, he was saying that you have to do something to protest the dissatisfaction that's in your heart for the injustices that's going on.
Exactly. His protests and those who are also in the same exact movement are not anti-police. And, for people to keep continuing to say that, they truly do not understand what he's trying to do.
Well, my saying, Sister Tangela, is either the people, white folk, or some of our own have cognitive failure, meaning they're not quite understanding what they're seeing,
right,
and they're translating it wrong. That's the innocent way of saying it. Or it's maliciousness.
I think a lot of it is strictly malicious. I really do. I really do think they know that they're not anti-police or anti-military or anti-government, anti the flag, and they know that. It's just, like you said, it's malicious intent.
Right, the malicious intent. So, brothers and sisters, you know, the Black Police Association, I think it was, the National Black Police Association.
Yeah, National Black Association.
I'm proud of those brothers and sisters for standing up and saying, look, we are with our brother.
Brothers, exactly.
If he truly was against police, then they wouldn't be saying that. So,
exactly.
Speak the truth regardless to whom or what, brothers and sisters, and let the truth be your ultimate weapon.
Exactly. Our next article is InfoWars says PayPal has terminated agreement with it for promoting hate. Payment processing service PayPal has banned Alex Jones' InfoWars, saying that the site promoted hate and discriminatory intolerance and this violated their use policy. So now, you know, InfoWars, you can't
see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't buy nothing from them.
Buy nothing from them.
You know, they did everything but put Alex Jones in jail.
Pretty much, yeah.
And all he did was have a nice 2-hour interview, or however long it was, with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And they're giving him the treatment, so they don't want him to make no money.
Yeah, they don't. So, I mean, PayPal, Facebook, Twitter, so, you know, social media has banned them. Now so they just don't want him to have any type of presence whatsoever.
You know, the sad part for me, Sister Tangela, and for those listening, for those who've been in the so-called conspiracy world, that's my bread and butter from the time I was in my 20s. Alex Jones, David Icke, Jeff Rentz, all of these white guys who, you know, talking about exposing the government and Big Brother and the unseen hand and all that, they've been doing this for 20, 30 years.
Right.
All of a sudden, the only thing that changed with Alex Jones versus those other guys is he interviewed the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he said he couldn't see nothing wrong with the man.
Yeah, and I tell you something else has happened as well, too. Facebook had even started to ban people who actually had links to InfoWars on their social media pages.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's...
Good God.
I know.
What did he do? You can't even mention his name.
Can't even mention his name. Can't even have a link to his website on your social media platform.
Like you cussing. They let people cuss on Facebook. Naked photos and stuff. And,
right.
You know, we got white folk with guns talking about I'm defending myself. But this, okay, well, we already know what this is about.
Yeah, it's going on.
Time to separate, brothers and sisters.
Exactly. Our next article, Bill Cosby sentenced to at least 3 years in first liberty conviction for the Pound Me Too movement. Comedian Bill Cosby, 81, has been sentenced to 3 to 10 years in a Pennsylvania state prison for drugging and molesting a woman in 2004. Cosby was sentenced on Tuesday over the assault, which took place at his Philadelphia home back in 2004. The sentence was a bit higher than demanded by prosecution, which urged the judge to put the comedian from 5 to 10 years behind bars. Cosby will also have to register as a violent sex predator, requiring him to attend sex offender counseling, provided he lived long enough to be released from prison. His attorney has argued that he's legally blind and cannot live unassisted.
Well, you know, brothers and sisters, in the interest of time, because Dr. Ava Muhammad is coming soon. She's not on the line yet, but she's conducting a study group right now. She says she'll be there as soon as she can. Here's the thing, brothers and sisters. We're going to comment, inshallah, later on in the show between the 8:30 and 9 o'clock hour on this specific subject. Believe me, Brother Michael Muhammad and us at Nat Turner Family, we have a lot to say about this subject, and I wanted to share with you a clip from someone who has a different insight. I'm gonna bring up the spirit of Baba Dick Gregory on this subject. And Sister Tangela, we'll have a comment session on that later.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the next article is from Peoples.com. Camille Cosby claimed husband was imprisoned on falsified evidence. Bill Cosby's wife Camille claims her husband 3 to 10 year prison sentence for sexual assault is a result of falsified evidence that denied his rights to a fair trial. She says we have now learned and will prove that Bill Cosby was denied his right to a fair trial because the DA of Montgomery County, Kevin Steele, used falsified evidence against him. And she claims that Constance's mother, the young lady who
was the accuser.
The accuser.
Yeah.
Her mother, Gianna Constance, had illegally recorded a conversation of a phone call in 2005 between herself and Cosby without his knowledge or without his consent.
Well,
and that the recording of that conversation was played through the jurors during the Cosby trial had been altered.
Oh, wow.
Had been altered. And this is according to a private forensic analysis of the recording that was obtained by the defense team.
So let me get this straight. So this is Bill Cosby's wife talking.
Yes.
She said,
Bill.
now check this out. This is a black woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
From North America.
Yeah.
And so she said, and I quote, that not only was the trial unfair, but they played a recording during this trial that was altered.
Yeah, actually a falsified audio clip that has been altered. And they said that if you was to play the whole entire clip, the original recording, that it contains information that will actually exonerate Mr. Cosby.
Now, therein lies, brothers and sisters, what we have to talk about later on and after this. So what you got here, Sister Tantra?
I look forward to actually his legal team appealing to see, if he done this, then sure, yes, he should pay for his, if he done this. But if he did not do this, and there is some falsified information out there, it needs to come out,
right,
and he needs to be released.
Well, I think I can say this quickly because we don't want to take up too much time in this section. We're going to, brothers and sisters, we're going to revisit a commentary on this.
Yeah, in the later
and in the later part of the show after our interview with Dr. Ava, we want to be respectful of her time.
Yes.
She's a very busy woman. She's given me a tight schedule, I shouldn't say tight schedule. She's given me a schedule that she needs to abide by. We're going to apply to it. So we're going to do a commentary on this, but I think I can say this quickly, Sister Tangela. If it were truly that this man, Bill Cosby, had sexually assaulted or raped even any women, then equal justice under the law
I agree.
would have been applied in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Only Cosby and these women know what happened.
Exactly.
That's between them, Allah God, and himself.
Exactly.
But ultimately, in the state of Pennsylvania, Sister Tangela, you read the news not too long ago.
Over 1,000 priests.
1,000 priests just recently accused of actual rape of children, and not a one of them have been charged with anything.
As a matter of fact, the lawyers for these priests are trying to make it seem, make it
seem as some innocent thing.
That is some innocent thing, and that it's beyond the statute of limitations.
And that was recently when they done this stuff.
Exactly.
Now, we talking 40, 30, 20, 15, some odd years ago.
Yeah.
Now, believe me, brothers and sisters, rape is punishable by death.
Yes.
I'm not mocking anybody.
No.
But there's a lot of questions in this case. And his wife, Camille, I think her name is.
Yes,
Camille brought up some excellent points. She's his wife. She loves him.
Yes.
But she's brought up some good points.
Yeah,
so we're going to explore that.
There is some falsified, because Kevin Steele, when he ran for, he ran his campaign on making sure that Cosby is going
to be guilty. Right, come on. I mean, that's dog whistle.
Right.
Who really hates Cosby is what we're going to talk about for a moment or two at the last part of the show. And do we have one more news article, Sister Tara?
We have two more, actually, right quick.
Okay.
Dallas Police Fire Officer Amber Geiger.
About time.
Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall officially fired Amber Geiger on Monday for a fatal shooting Botham John in his apartment. In a statement, the Dallas Police Department said Geiger was terminated during a hearing with the chief on Monday morning, and Internal Affairs of Immigration found she engaged in adverse conduct when she was arrested for manslaughter, and that she was fired due to her actions the night of the fatal shooting.
Okay, well, they didn't. So basically, Sister Tangela, you've been reading about this story for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
What's your comment on this?
Well, I think that's the right thing to do. She should have been fired
immediately.
Right. I think that the chief of police probably came up under fire because first she said she couldn't fire her.
Right.
But I think that she had to change that tone of voice when you can't come out and say you can't fire someone. Yes, you can.
I know what it's like to not.
So I think she had to do something. She couldn't no longer just sit around and not do anything at all.
You don't want to discourage your police officers and security force and all that. But in a case like this, come on now.
Yeah, she
you've broken. So for brothers and sisters who have not understanding what we're talking about the Botham Jean case in Dallas, Texas, or was it Houston? It's Dallas.
It's in Dallas.
Dallas, okay. Basically, the white girl who was a police officer that shot the brother has finally been fired from the police.
Yeah, she finally fired from the police.
This is just step 1 out of 10.
Step 1, exactly.
Right.
Step 1.
We have yet to see a conviction. They've been already trying to besmirch the brother's image posthumously, which is about as disrespectful as you can get.
Exactly.
But, we let Allah be the judge on these things. Let the facts prove what they are.
Right. Our last article for the night is a Florida man sentenced to 20 years in prison for stealing $600 worth of cigarettes. You heard me right.
Wow.
A Florida man who stole 10 cartons of cigarettes from a Circle K was sentenced to 20 years in state prison. Robert Spellman, 48, was convicted of burglary and grand theft in August, according to the Pensacola News Journal, after he stole the cigarettes from a stockroom in the store manager's office at the convenience store.
Poor brother.
Yeah, so he's...
Wow.
20 years.
20 years for $600.
But, unfortunately, the brother did have a very long resume of crime.
Does it equal 20 years?
No, it does not, but they consider him to be a habitual felony offender.
And what is this? What state was this?
This is Florida. So that's why they
once again
put so much time in this brother for stealing cigarettes. 20 years, though. 20 years.
And they got
unbelievable.
They got all these priests in Pennsylvania who done raped little children and ain't even give them so much as a fine. We can go through the list.
We can go through a list of so many people who have done crime in this country.
And they never totaled not even 2 days, let alone 20 years
House
in prison.
arrest and crazy stuff like that. Never seen a day in jail. So, it can go on and on and on about it.
Sister Tangela, we got, not Sister Tangela, brothers and sisters, Sister Tangela's news that she read tonight. And some other news that we couldn't get to tonight is on the Nat Turner Library page on Facebook. You can follow these articles. You can read them for yourself. We are not making up this news. Believe me, we couldn't make it up if we could, if we wanted to. We don't believe in doing anything but speaking the truth. And Sister Tangela, once again, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for another wonderful news time with us. Brothers and sisters, we thank you for listening to the news segment. Coming up after our commercial break is going to be student minister Dr. Ava Muhammad to go into our subject matter for tonight. You are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show.
FinalCall.com. FinalCall.com. One word, FinalCall.com. The award-winning website for the realest and most accurate black news available on the planet. FinalCall.com. Fair, reasonable, accurate, and inclusive. We are a unifying website. FinalCall.com. Go there today.
It's your brother here, Michael Muhammad from Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, I have recently launched my new writing, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, which is dedicated to the study of the mind of the black woman and how our enemies have attacked the black woman to get to ultimately the black community. But I also have a website, BroMichaelMuhammad.com, BroMichaelMuhammad.com. That's BroMichaelMuhammad.com. On this, you will see me. You will see the M6X apparel, which has beautiful shirts, 100% organic black shirt. For the sisters, we have the Be Yourself, Love Yourself shirt. The shirt that says, I'm not a toy for a little boy, I need a man with a plan. And for our conscious sisters, modesty is loving yourself. When you disrespect women, you destroy the future for everyone. We have the shirts of 100% organic black, which gives all the attributes of our organic black man and woman. We have Honor Thy Mother and Thy Father. We have the 100% Black God shirt, one of the most popular. We have the Know Your Enemy shirt with the atrocities that have happened to the black man and woman of North America on the back. We also have the Checkmate book cover shirt in many different colors. We also have fragrances are available. You just simply have to tell me which one you need. And these are all the things you can find on BroMichaelMuhammad.com. That's BroMichaelMuhammad.com. The website, you can go to it from your e-reader, you can go to it from your tablet, you can go to it from your PC. You can also reach me directly at michaelasia33@gmail.com. It's michaelasia33@gmail.com. You may also call me direct at 678-906-6306. Peace.
Peace and love, family. A.J. Jones, author and illustrator of Black History Coloring Books. Family, I've been drawing and researching history since I was 6 years old. As the daughter of a Black Panther, early on I was exposed to racial injustice and learned that our history was not accurately portrayed or even included in the standard textbooks. So I decided to harness that energy and created a collection of illustrated history books that honor the ancestors by building on knowledge of self. The mission of Black History Coloring Books is to eradicate cultural illiteracy by resurrecting those missing lessons that were somehow left out of the standard history books. This collection features books on Malcolm X, Emperor Selassie I, Mandela, Haiti, Dr. Sadie, Juneteenth, Marcus Garvey, and our latest edition, family, is the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, Power to the People. Black History Coloring Books are not like typical coloring books. Each book is filled with lifelike illustrations, lots of historical research, first and fun facts, vintage photos, and family. They're for ages 8 to 88. They're collectible keepsakes for students, parents, grandparents, teachers, and history buffs. Black History in February? What? Over here, we declare every month is Black History Month because one month could never tell our story. Family, I invite you to add Black History Coloring Books to your home, office, or school reference library. For the price of lunch, you can have your own Black History Coloring Book, and I'll autograph it just for you. I invite you to visit my website, family, at blackhistorycoloringbooks.com. Support a Black author. Support Black businesses. But most importantly, family, increase your knowledge of self. A.J. Jones, look forward to building with you. Peace and love.
Peace, you guys. It's Nadira here from Easy Light Sources. And I just wanted to let you know that the Easy Light Sources Food Guide is now available for $10 on EasyLightSources.org. The Easy Light Sources Food Guide covers 18 fruits and vegetables commonly found in any grocery store. If you're looking for ways to feel better in your life and to raise your vibrations, one of the easiest ways to incorporate some light into your life is through the foods that you eat. If you're interested in going into a plant-based lifestyle, the food guide also has your back with a few essays in the back and a few recipes to help get you started. Once again, the Easy Light Sources Food Guide is now available. Purchase your copy today at EasyLightSources.org.
again, thank you, Brother Khalifa. Thank you, Brother Michael, for allowing me to have a few minutes on your radio station. And I'm asking all out there, support their radio station. It's so important for us to be able to communicate. So if I don't know if you have a donation a website or anything, but you all support your black-owned radio communication, no matter what it is. If it's black-owned, it's communication, support it. Support it. And they didn't pay me to say that, but I'm saying it to you. Support them. And I'm saying 10, 10, 15.
Brothers and sisters, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I'm your host, Brother Michael Muhammad, from the executive producer of Nat Turner Library Radio Network. We are still waiting for our guest of the hour, Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad. She is conducting, I believe, study group. She had said that she'll be getting back to us as soon as possible. So we're going to be forthcoming in that, and in that we're going to discuss a couple of things relative to the subject, and we want to make sure we go through a couple of housekeeping things. Your call-in number, if you want to have someone listen in, if you know they're driving, if you're about to leave your computer. And I do see Dr. Ava is here with us. Give us just one moment. We'll get her right on. Brothers and sisters, please hold. Brothers and sisters, this is Brother Michael in Nat Turner Library Radio. Thank you for holding on, brothers and sisters. We're just awaiting Dr. Ava. She had called in. We had a little technical difficulty there. She should be getting back on with us in just a moment. As I was saying earlier, if you know someone who is actually wanting to listen in to this wonderful interview dealing with separation and the benefits of doing for self with student minister Dr. Ava Muhammad, national spokesperson for the Honorable Ms. Louise Farrakhan, have them call in to listen in. And if we have time later on, we'll have some question or a comment session after the interview, which will be you call in at 515-605-9882. And brothers and sisters, hold tight. We'll see if we can get Dr. Ava right back on. Hold on a second. Brothers and sisters, we thank you for holding and thank you for bearing with us during our technical difficulties. We do have our guest tonight, student minister Dr. Ava Muhammad of the national spokesperson for the Honorable Ms. Louise Farrakhan. She's a gifted attorney, spiritual advisor, and author of powerful books such as Real Love and New Unit of Measurement. And she received her doctorate from Georgetown University. Is a member of the New York Bar Association. She's been featured in Essence Magazine, and she's also a host of her own show, Elevated Places. And she is our guest tonight on the Most Necessary subject, and she's been on tour for a most necessary subject, which is dealing with separation town hall meetings. I speak none other. We greet you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Ava, are you there?
I am, Brother Michael. Wa alaikum salam, and I am deeply grateful and honored to join you on this wonderful program. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ava. We know your time is short, but we thank you for being our guest tonight. You know, last week we talked with Student Minister Abdul Halim Muhammad on part one of this, dealing with separation and you know what the spirit of it is. And you've been on tour, Dr. Ava, of late on the town hall meetings. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
Listen, over the summer, I have been, and we're slowly rolling it out, but it will pick up speed after the Holy Day of Atonement. But back in 2013, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was doing the monumental series, The Time and What Must Be Done, he stated that he wanted black people to engage in discussions in the form of town hall meetings on the subject of separation, and that at the end of a certain amount of time, which would be devoted to that, he would conduct a referendum, take a vote, and see how many of our people and who among our people are ready to go for self.
Yes, ma'am.
Then he repeated that again to some of us in the Nation of Islam research team, and we felt that it was time to move out on that initiative. And particularly since he entitled his Day of Atonement message a year ago, Separation or Death, that he delivered in New Jersey. Then, of course, there was the legendary press conference that was held in the Watergate Hotel November 16th of 2017, that too almost a year ago. And in that, he stated to Donald Trump that we would take 8 states. He was specific about at least a starting point. And so it's critical for us now, those of us who say we are with him, to follow through and get prepared for that. Yes, sir. So I was in this past June. I was in Birmingham, Alabama. Then that was followed by Memphis, Tennessee. Then Tampa and St. Petersburg, Florida. I just came back from Las Vegas, Nevada, which was not a town hall meeting per se, but there were 2 events. One was a Black Women's Empowerment Conference. And, of course, that's a component of separation, is the rise of the black woman to her proper station. Separation is not going to happen without that. And then on the Sunday, yes, sir, and on the Sunday I spoke on a topic called Our Time Has Come. And then tomorrow, the Nation of Islam is hosting a town hall meeting in Detroit, Michigan. And originally I was scheduled to go to that, but I'd asked the brilliant and effective and very popular Dr. Wesley Muhammad. So he will be taking my place on that panel, and that will be tomorrow. I do want to say to the listening audience that the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam in its entirety, at the direction of Minister Louis Farrakhan, traveled to Detroit yesterday. We just came back today, and the Holy Day of Atonement will be in Detroit, Michigan, the 23rd anniversary of the movement. Yes, and it will take place in only 2 weeks, October the 14th, Sunday the 14th. Minister Farrakhan will speak from Detroit, Michigan, and it will be free admission. and it will be at a venue. The name escapes me now, but the name was just changed to Aretha Franklin Park. And so it's a tribute to her that name change took place. But this is a very significant time for us, and black people in Detroit are just, to use the term ready is an understatement, but they are ready to go for self and do for self.
Well, you know, thank you for that exclusive information, Dr. Ava, that our brothers and sisters, praise be to Allah. Brothers and sisters, you heard it here first. If you hadn't heard it before, Atonement Day will be in Detroit in 2 weeks. All praises is due to Allah. The founding city of our beloved Nation of Islam is going to be the place where this subject will be discussed by our teacher and our guide, the Honorable Miss Luz Farrakhan. Praise be to Allah. Dr. Ava, you know, in these cities that you visited, Memphis, you mentioned a lot of southern cities. You've been to Las Vegas. You know, we have believers, of course, that are going to show up in everywhere that you go. You are a very popular person in our beloved Nation of Islam. I remember when I first came in, you know, I read each book that you had that was available, especially a new unit of measurement. So we have believers that are going to show up everywhere that you are. Has there been any people outside of the Nation of Islam at these town hall meetings to comment and give questions?
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, they come out. What we conduct is actually deliberative dialogue. It's not a Q&A, you know, sort of. It's not in the format of, you know, I get up and lecture and the local representative of the nation lectures, but we make brief presentations and then the floor is open for dialogue. And we have black entrepreneurs, grassroots leadership, a high percentage of young people, college students, and even young children who have questions and comments. But no, it's a broad spectrum of the black community, broad spectrum in every city. We have, in fact, the two in St. Petersburg and in Tampa, Florida, each of those was held in a Baptist church and hosted by the pastors of those churches. Reverend Dr. Benjamin Curry, who's a young pastor, and heard the minister back in the 90s when he was studying to get his doctorate in divinity. He went to a conference, and Minister Farrakhan spoke there, and he was heavily influenced by the minister. He has a beautiful church in Tampa, Florida, and so it was held there. As I said, activists, grassroots people, it runs the gamut. Then in St. Petersburg, Reverend Sykes, who actually conducted the ecumenical prayer back in 2010 when the Nation of Islam had the Day of Atonement in Florida, in Tampa, Florida. These are two very powerful, active ministers in the Christian church. And yes, we use their venues to host it. Last night, the community meeting in Detroit, planning for the Holy Day of Atonement, was held at the Riverwalk Hotel, Roberts Riverwalk, which is the only black-owned hotel in the city of Detroit. And it's a beautiful place right on the Detroit River. The owner, Mr. Roberts, attended last night, and he and his family are, I forgot what list they're on, but they are listed as billionaires. And he offered his hotel. He wants his hotel to be an urban resort. That's what he's focused on. all of his employees are black. It's not some superficial name or where somebody is a brand with a black face that's actually owned by white people. This is a black-owned hotel. And members of the Detroit Police Department were there, preachers from a wide spectrum of churches, the Noble Drew Ali followers, black media people, and just regular grassroots people were out. And that's how the town hall meetings have been across the country.
Praise be to Allah. Well, I guess that answers several questions that I had. You know, just to give a little history of myself to the audience and to yourself, Dr. Ava, I came up son of a black pastor in the Seventh-day Adventist Church who my father was a vice president of a chapter of the NAACP in upstate New York. He's since returned to the Essence. And as now I'm in my 40s, you know, the idea of separation was always shunned by the civil rights movement. It was always looked down upon. But I think, would you agree that the election of Donald Trump has helped our cause of separation to further itself?
We thank Allah for Donald Trump, and the minister actually in the press conference in November stated that Allah is the reason Donald Trump is in there.
That's right.
He called him a very special individual, and that's a good term.
Yes.
Anyone who saw Mr. Trump's press conference 2 days ago knows that he actually, in my mind, is the quintessence of America. You know, and every time somebody says to me, Trump is this, he's narcissistic, he's bipolar, he's a sociopath, he's all these things. And I said, but Donald Trump's presidency and the fact that he is in the White House is more of a statement. It's not a statement about Donald Trump, it's a statement about America.
Right.
That she would choose him. And what we're witnessing is that no matter what revelations come out, it doesn't. There's not even a move toward the thought that he should not be there.
Absolutely. Before I forget, Dr. Ava, I spoke to student minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad yesterday. He wanted me to pass the greetings from the local laborers here in Atlanta and the entire city, and his love and greetings to you. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, wa alaikum salam. That's a brother that's a mover and shaker.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, this radio show came out of a conversation I had with him 4 years ago. So he is a doer. He is about doing, and I just wanted to make sure I did my diligence because he made it very clear to me yesterday. Please greet or pass the greetings from the laborers and himself to Dr. Ava when you interview her. I said, yes, sir. So I just wanted to make sure I did that before we continue with the interview.
Yes. Well, I love Mosque number 15, the laborers, the believers, and I look forward to scheduling a town hall meeting right there and in Atlanta. I am so grateful because the regional staff actually came over to Birmingham when we had the town hall there, and that was the first one. That was the launch.
Yes, ma'am.
The local minister there, Brother Tremont Muhammad, is just superb. And, you know, the idea of separation is not fully grasped by a lot of people. And because we've been under this white man's rule for so long, many of us really begin to hyperventilate when we hear the term separate. And so that's one of the purposes of the town hall meetings. It's not so much for the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under Minister Farrakhan, because we're taught this every day, and either we get it or we don't.
Right.
but it's the black people beyond our circle who we owe them an explanation, and we need to prepare for separation. We have to. It's going to happen. It's Allah's will. It's written in the book of Genesis. It's not just in the Quran that you have to come out from under a rebellious authority, but the specific promise that God made to Abraham in the book of Genesis. There's no other people that fit that description of Abraham's seed but the black man and woman in America.
That's right. I totally agree. And that brings me to my next question. What have been some of the challenges that the community has presented to you and in reference to the idea of separation? Like, what have been some of the concerns that the town halls have brought, that the people have?
One of the one of the big questions, concerns expressed by the black community, that a question that inevitably comes up everywhere, is vulnerability. Many of our people feel that if we cluster together in a separate state or states or territory of our own, that we'll be attacked, which is a manifestation of how deeply
terrorized.
How deeply been because we're not realizing that's the reason. The reason we're separating is because we're being annihilated.
Yes, ma'am.
By the children of the slave master. It is our salvation, physically, spiritually, mentally, and morally, to be among ourselves. And we don't realize that we will increase in strength and respect when we are together somewhere, organized in planned communities, as opposed to colonies where we've just been abandoned. And the schools are closed, the services are shut down, the police crawl around in cruisers day and night, drugs are sent in, guns are set in, our young girls are molested, because we're living with an every man for himself mentality in these colonies called ghettos.
That's right.
So when we consciously and deliberately choose areas and say that's where we're going to be, we'll be fine, and we're going to protect ourselves. The nation of Islam has been in America for nearly a century, and study our meetings and our gatherings. And as much as white America despises us, you don't see violence at any gathering where Minister Louis Farrakhan or a representative of the Nation of Islam is.
That's right.
The miracle of the Million Man March. There was a time when there was a law against 2 or 3 black people having a conversation. And this man calls 1 million and 2 million people show up, and there's not even a slap fight during the Million Man March. And the place was left completely clean.
Yes, ma'am.
So to question, vulnerability, the vulnerability is our current condition. Where look at Flint, Michigan. See, we need to control our drinking water ourselves.
That's right.
Grow our own food.
That's right.
But that is one of the concerns that comes up, and then some of us we just don't think clearly because we've been in a sort of a hostage state for 4 centuries. But another issue is self-governance. And again, we're not appreciating what we already know. We know how to self-govern. It's not rocket science. It's the nature of things. Bluebirds live with bluebirds.
That's right.
Zebras live with zebras. I mean, it just, and as the minister teaches all the time, you have Chinatown, you have Little Italy. So even in and among Caucasian people, which is another question that comes up of our various ideologies. Well, I mean, are we serious? You know, when white people are not crushing us, they are killing each other.
That's right.
We actually get along better with each other than they do, because most of our violence stems from economic deprivation.
That's right.
When they're wealthy, they kill each other because it's in their nature to do that. So that's not a reason not to come together. Oh, we don't get along. Who does? If you're not in submission to Allah, God, and trying to do His will, you're going to have conflict and arguments. But the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad cure us of all that. And one of the things I always read at every town hall meeting, I'm going to read it now, it's a statement from the Honorable Marcus Garvey. Quote, "The only cure for the Negro is his removal to an atmosphere entirely of his own, where he would be forced under rigid civil and other discipline to respect himself and his own racial authority."
That's right.
See, this is why the reason we mistreat each other, steal from each other, shoot each other, is in what he's saying. We're not among ourselves. We're not disciplined because we follow white people, and white people are savage. And if we don't want to believe that, then play Donald Trump's press conference. He's their leader. That's their leader. That's the best. Your leader is your best foot forward, right?
That's right.
He is the pinnacle of their intellect and moral standard. And here's a violent sexual predator who's trying to put another sexual predator on the U.S. Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Bill Cosby's being led away in chains.
That's right.
Why isn't Matt Lauer being charged? I'm a former prosecutor. You don't need, when you have evidence of a crime, crimes are not just against individuals, they're against the state.
Right.
So the state has the power to enforce law with or without the individual victim agreeing to it. And so when Matt Lauer was exposed as having, well, I hate to use that term, exposed, but when Matt Lauer was found, and he hasn't disputed it publicly, he accepted being fired outright by NBC, but women would come in his office, he had a button under his desk.
Wow.
And he would lock the door.
Oh, that's terrible.
See, that's kidnapping. That's it's a lesser charge of I forgot what it's called, but when you don't take somebody away, but you restrain them against their will.
Right. Right.
So he's exposing himself to women, forcing women to engage in sexual acts on him. These are acts. Harvey Weinstein, the biggest producer in Hollywood. A woman is saying he forced it. This isn't. Not only is it sexual harassment, forcible rape. Where are the charges? Where's jail?
That's true. That's true. On the news, Dr. Ava, we read a couple of weeks ago the thousands in the same state as Bill Cosby, the thousands of priests from the Catholic Church that have been found by their accusers to be rapists, not just molesters, but rapists. And there's not even as much as a brought up of a charge on any one of them, from my understanding. To your point.
That's right. They get a lecture from the Pope.
Right.
That's and going back to separation and sovereignty. I'm so glad, Brother Michael, you brought this up. Let's look at the Catholic Church real quick. See, as you said, no one. I haven't seen anybody perp walked out of a church or any arrests or any press conferences. You know how the DA is always up there with the cops and the undercover people behind them. And today we indicted. So none of that, because the Catholic Church said we're handling this ourselves.
Mm.
See, it's a culture that we have to take. We need to start handling our own affairs. Even the NFL says, well, number one, we're not paying taxes, okay? Making $14 billion a year, you're not paying taxes.
Mm.
And we can have a league that's a monopoly.
Right.
You know, you got 70% of your players are black. You have very few, you can count on less than one hand, the black head coaches, okay? You're so reluctant to have black quarterbacks, you know, and then when you have them, you're always negative and pointing out their flaws, what's wrong with them. They just had a school, I think it was a superintendent of schools, and that was in Houston, I think, recently.
That is correct. We read that on the news last week.
Yeah, you can't trust a black quarterback. This is 2018. But when you have a 70% black organization and the players decide we're going to use this platform to, in a civilized manner, make a statement about the murders of black people coast to coast by the police, they're told, no, you can't do that. We're not going to allow that. We're not going to let you disrespect the flag. But we thought that the state, according to the Constitution, could not impose itself on an individual's belief system. And it's hypocritical and it's a lie, because it's not about patriotism or the American flag, because what has happened is the U.S. military is paying the NFL to promote membership in the military. Because up until years ago, you didn't even see the Star Spangled Banner televised, and people were not required to come out on the field. But if you notice now, all of this wearing fatigues and camouflage, they have a whole month that they devote to the military. But you say Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, and it's not interfering with the game. It's before the game.
Right.
So these yahoos who say, well, I'm buying my ticket, I'm coming to see a game. You're going to see the game, you idiot. This is prior to the game. Okay. But they don't stop selling beer.
Sure don't.
Selling hot dogs while the flag is being saluted.
That's right.
We need to go on our own. We need to stop being bothered with this nonsense. We really do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, Dr. Ava, I thank you for that information, because in that spirit, I'm a very small novice student of psychology. I haven't, I enrolled, and I've been talking with some different black psychologists I've interviewed for different research studies that I'm doing for my writings. And I ran across a term that I know you probably have heard called codependence. And it has to do with one of the 12 cognitive distortions of the human brain. Dependence is when one person or group feels that they need another person or thing that actually is harmful to it. And, you know, I think that applies to I think that applies to the psychology of us when we look at it, because when I talk with this particular black psychologist about codependence, the sister told me straight up that any person who needs another person, whether it be a wife who thinks she needs an abusive husband, or a husband who has a infidelist wife, or in this case, an entire group of people who actually think they need another group of people that is being abusive to it. That's considered to be, according to the specialist, codependence, which is diagnosed as a cognitive distortion, also known as a mental disorder. And I just wanted to put that out there. It is powerful. Praise be to Allah. I wanted to put that out there to the listening audience because we have listening audience, Dr. Ava, from all over the country. I'm looking at the switchboard. We have people from Texas, Brooklyn, New York, Detroit, Washington, D.C. I don't know if that's the government or the people listening in from D.C. We have people from Mississippi and right here in Georgia, of course. So you have a wide listening audience. And I wanted to put that information out there because that's a universal concept of codependence. That brings me to my next question. Have you heard any people during your tour so far that have expressed a need psychologically to not want to separate? And let me give you a preface statement for that. I talked with, and I won't mention the pastor's name or the reverend's name, I talked with a national reverend 5 years ago on his radio show about this very subject. And his words to me were, Michael, the United Nations is not going to protect us, and we won't have a financial system. And he hung up on me. I won't say who it was because that's not what we do. We're not. But when I heard that, and then years later I read about codependence, I wanted to know, have you run into that same thinking or ideology in your tour, Dr. Ava?
I actually have not encountered it quite in that form in the tour. There have been a few expressions of, I'm not going to call it opposition, but reluctance to this solution, to separation as a solution. You have people that say, why don't we get reparations? We need to get reparations first. There have been people that made reference to, I have heard references to financial systems and the ability to independently survive. And, it goes back to my point that I always make. We just saw the film a couple of years ago, Hidden Figures.
Right.
Very few people knew that it was black women that sent white men to the moon.
Right.
And nearly every innovation, invention, advancement that white people have made in the time they came out of the caves of Europe, if you look behind it, it's a black person or person.
Absolutely.
Who are at the root of it. And it's a natural, it's natural in the context of the circumstances we're in. And, people have to arrive at this on their own. They will or they won't. Number 5 of what the Muslims want, number 4, he addresses separation and states that, after 400 years, it's clear that we are not going to be able to get along in peace, and it's time to separate. We want our own land, and see the issue of reparations. He says that. He said, you supply our needs for 20 to 25 years. And, of course, whether they do or not, we're pouring $1 trillion into this economy, which shows our capability. But
absolutely.
The point of the matter is all of that comes about naturally. When you live together, consciously and deliberately, you're going to have schools, you're going to have stores. It's like birds. They find a tree, they're going to build a nest. No, birds don't believe in white America, and they eat, and they have a place to live.
That's right.
So it's just a mindset that we have to come to terms with. But I'm going to have to start winding up.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think the point I wanted to get to was number 5 is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says every black man and woman should be allowed to decide whether they want to do this or not.
That's right.
So we're not trying to negotiate for a situation where if you have melanin, you're going to be forced to do this. Okay?
Absolutely.
If you want to go, if you want to come, you come. If you don't, you don't.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that's important. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I was going to say, well, I thank you for the commentary. I wanted to give you some time to talk on how we can support you. Before you leave, I posted your website, www.ministerava.com, on my Facebook page for the Nat Turner Library Radio. No, thank you. Like I said, I have your books. I have a couple of copies of A New Unit of Measurement because it took me years to find it. And when I first read it, back when I was, 17 years ago when you first came out with it, I couldn't find it for a while, so I bought a couple of copies. Is there any other way we can support you? The audience can support you and support your writings and your and you find out wherever you are?
Yes, sir. And the best way is to listen to my I have 2 programs. I also have a blog talk radio show that airs every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's called Elevated Places. It's blogtalkradio.com/Elevated Places, and that's every Thursday night live at 8 p.m. Eastern. And on that program, I'm always keeping everyone posted on my schedule and what books and things I have available. Of course, you can actually get my books on Amazon, but I prefer people to go through ministerava.com because it helps me get a little bit more of the revenue because Amazon definitely takes their healthy portion. And then on Sunday at 5 Eastern, Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm on WVON radio in Chicago. That's broadcast radio here in Chicago. That's WVON. And if you are not in the Chicagoland area, if you download the iHeart, small I heart, as in the organ heart, iHeart app, that app allows you access to radio stations all across America in HD audio. And so if you download the iHeart app, then you'll be able to hear Elevated Places on WVON. That's on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern every Sunday live.
Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Dr. Ava, I just have one final question for you in reference to, you give me as much time as you can. If it's a few seconds, that's okay. In reference to separation, there might be a person listening, whether it be today or in the future when we put it as a podcast, who wants to know, how do I, the person speaking, fit into this idea of separation? What can I do to contribute to this new world that we want to bring in? Do you have a quick answer, as quick as you can, for that kind of question?
Yes, sir. I'll just quote Minister Farrakhan, who told me when a gentleman called me from Barrington, Illinois, which is a very upscale suburb of Chicago, $1 million homes, black man. And he said, I want to do this. I want to do this for my children, but I'm vested in white America. Okay, I got this big home. I have a high-paying job. Minister Farrakhan, I brought it to him. He told me, he said, tell him, stay on the job and stay in the house and start thinking on what steps you can take to be part of this exodus, but start with the cessation. Stop impulse shopping and stop buying essentials from the white retail industry. And stop thinking that your dollar doesn't matter, because it does. Support black, buy black, no matter how hard it is to find it.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. So that is our instruction. I'm going to take that as an instruction for all of us. Start buying black. Start thinking on it. Don't run away. We have to steal away, I believe the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us.
That's correct.
And, well, Dr. Ava, I want to thank you on behalf of the Nat Turner Library Radio Show for your participation in this most necessary subject. Praise be to Allah. I want to thank you for helping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a man who called me out of the darkness on October 16th, 1995. I was part of the crew. I was 20 years old, and I fell in love with him that day, and I've been his student ever since. And I want to thank you for helping him and keeping the course of study and helping this man and helping us in the cause of freedom and justice and equality. You are always welcome on the Nat Turner family. I want to pass the greetings to you from Elder Baba Khalifa, the founder of Nat Turner Library, and the chairman, Assistant Student Minister Khalifa Muhammad, who now lives in Southampton County but was on the ministry team here in Atlanta under Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, all of which, and my wife, we all pass the greetings of Assalamu alaikum to you and well wishes in your health in this tour. And we look forward to seeing you in Atlanta.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. And assalamu alaikum and love to you all. May Allah bless us all with love and the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, alaikum salam, ma'am. Brothers and sisters, you have just heard one of the more powerful people that I have ever studied and seen in this sojourn called Black Liberation. There aren't many that I have met or talked about or seen that are more powerful, more understanding, and more literal than Dr. Ava Muhammad. We thank Allah for her. We thank Allah for those that are with her wherever she goes. And being in Atlanta, I know she's forthcoming. Student Minister Abdul Sharif said we're waiting for a couple logistical things, and she'll be down here for the very same town hall meeting, and we will be front and center, my wife and I, to be part of that wonderful discussion. Brothers and sisters, you are listening to the Nat Turner Library Radio. I want to thank the listening audience. We are still holding tight. I'm going to go to a commercial break, and while we're on commercial break, I'm going to see if anyone wants to comment on what they just heard from Student Minister Dr. Ava Muhammad. So, brothers and sisters, hold tight. Call-in number 515-605-9882. That's 515-605-9882. This is Brother Michael Muhammad, Executive Producer at Nat Turner Library Radio. We will be back after these messages.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Peace and love, family. A.J. Jones, author and illustrator of Black History Coloring Books. Family, I've been drawing and researching history since I was 6 years old. As the daughter of a Black Panther, early on I was exposed to racial injustice and learned that our history was not accurately portrayed or even included in the standard textbooks. So I decided to harness that energy and created a collection of illustrated history books that honor the ancestors by building on knowledge of self. The mission of Black History Coloring Books is to eradicate cultural illiteracy by resurrecting those missing lessons that were somehow left out of the standard history books. This collection features books on Malcolm X, Emperor Selassie I, Mandela, Haiti, Dr. Sadie, Juneteenth, Marcus Garvey, and our latest edition, family, is the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, Power to the People. Black History Coloring Books are not like typical coloring books. Each book is filled with lifelike illustrations, lots of historical research, first and fun facts, vintage photos, and family. They're for ages 8 to 88. They're collectible keepsakes for students, parents, grandparents, teachers, and history buffs. Black History in February? What? Over here, we declare every month is Black History Month because one month could never tell our story. Family, I invite you to add Black History Coloring Books to your home, office, or school reference library. For the price of lunch, you can have your own Black History Coloring Book, and I'll autograph it just for you. I invite you to visit my website, family, at blackhistorycoloringbooks.com. Support a Black author. Support Black businesses. But most importantly, family, increase your knowledge of self. AJ Jones, look forward to building with you. Peace and love.
This is your brother here, Brother Michael Muhammad, executive producer of Nat Turner Library Radio, and your brother. That's Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. Did you know that the black mind has been under attack since the creation of the Caucasian 6,600 years ago? Ever wonder the connection between a black hole and the power of black women? Did you know that there is a mathematic connection between black people and the blackness of the universe? Want to know the true purpose of the women's liberation movement in the 60s and the original one that was in the late 1800s? What is the Louisiana-Mississippi Syndrome? Again, that's the Louisiana-Mississippi Syndrome. All of this and more in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, The Black Woman. This is my first book, and this will not be the last. Go to the website, bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD.com. You can also go to Facebook and type in Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, and call me direct if you would like to book any engagements or anything dealing with Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind. 678-906-6306. 678-906-6306. This is your brother, Michael Muhammad, of Nat Turner Library Radio.
Peace, you guys. It's Nadira here from Easy Light Sources. And I just wanted to let you know that the Easy Light Sources food guide is now available for $10 on easylightsources.org. The Easy Light Sources food guide covers 18 fruits and vegetables commonly found in any grocery store. If you're looking for ways to feel better in your life and to raise your vibrations, one of the easiest ways to incorporate some light into your life is through the foods that you eat. If you're interested in going into a plant-based lifestyle, the food guide also has your back with a few essays in the back and a few recipes to help get you started. Once again, the Easy Light Sources food guide is now available. Purchase your copy today at easylightsources.org.
Stay tuned for Nat Turner Library Radio.
It's your brother here, Michael Muhammad from Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Brothers and sisters, I have recently launched my new writing, Checkmate, The War for the Black Mind, Part 1, which is dedicated to the study of the mind of the black woman and how our enemies have attacked the black woman to get to ultimately the black community. But I also have a website, bromichaelmuhammad.com, BROMICHAELMUHAMMAD.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. On this, you will see me. You will see the M6X apparel, which has beautiful shirts, 100% organic black shirt. For the sisters, we have the Be Yourself, Love Yourself shirt. The shirt that says, I'm not a toy for a little boy, I need a man with a plan. And for our conscious sisters, modesty is loving yourself. When you disrespect women, you destroy the future for everyone. We have the shirts of 100% organic black, which gives all the attributes of our organic black man and woman. We have Honor Thy Mother and Thy Father. We have the 100% Black God shirt, one of the most popular. We have the Know Your Enemy shirt with the atrocities that have happened to the black man and woman of North America on the back. And we also have the Checkmate book cover shirt in many different colors. We also have fragrances are available. You just simply have to tell me which one you need. And these are all the things you can find on bromichaelmuhammad.com. That's bromichaelmuhammad.com. The website, you can go to it from your e-reader, you can go to it from your tablet, you can go to it from your PC. You can also reach me directly at michaelasia33@gmail.com. It's michaelasia33@gmail.com. You may also call me direct at 678-906-6306. Peace.
FinalCall.com. FinalCall.com. word, finalcall.com, the award-winning website for the realest and most accurate black news available on the planet. Finalcall.com. Fair, reasonable, accurate, and inclusive. We are a unifying website. Finalcall.com. Go there today.
This is your brother here, Michael Muhammad, executive producer of the Nat Turner Library Radio Network. Brothers and sisters, you have been listening to me speak for several years about a lot of subjects, and many of you know that I am a member of the Nation of Islam and a follower and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And, you know, I've read a lot of books about the Nation of Islam. Some are confusing, some are inaccurate. But let me tell you something about Khalifa Muhammad, the author. As you know, Khalifa Muhammad is my brother and friend, but he's also the writer of the groundbreaking book, which is called Frequently Asked Questions, Nation of Islam, Part 1. And, you know, there's a lot of questions out there that people ask. Is Farrakhan a hate teacher? Is the Nation of Islam an anti-Semitic group? Do you believe that the white man is the devil, they ask us. Who started the Nation of Islam? What does the Nation of Islam believe? And what does the Nation of Islam want? Well, we have these questions answered in the book, Frequently Asked Questions of the Nation of Islam, or Nation of Islam, Frequently Asked Questions, by Khalifa Muhammad, chairman of the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. He's also son of H. Khalifa, and an assistant student minister of the Nation of Islam under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, with his time under Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad of the Southern Region. Khalifa Muhammad has also served as a public school educator in New York and is familiar with all of the media slander that has been raining down on the black community by the enemies of truth about the Nation of Islam. So for once and for all, for many of you who think that there's some hidden agenda or we have something to hide, what I'd like you to do is to go right now to Amazon or KHA Books, that's KhaBooks.com or Amazon.com, type in there Khalifa Muhammad or type in Nation of Islam, Frequently Asked Questions, and purchase this book. It's only $10 for hard copy and $5. I'll say it again, $5 for the e-version. That's what I use a lot, and I also have the hard copy. Brothers and sisters, I suggest you do the same. This is your brother, Michael Muhammad, from Nat Turner Library Radio. Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
Nat Turner Library Radio.
We're back. Brothers and sisters, thank you for holding and listening to our commercial break. I am your host, your brother, Michael Muhammad of the Nat Turner Family Library Radio Show. Call-in number 515-605-9882. And today's date is September 28, 2018. The subject tonight, we're going to close out. We got about 25 minutes. Separation. The benefits of doing for self, and we just concluded our interview with Dr. Ava Muhammad, but I spoke with Sister Pamela. If you're still listening, thank you, Sister Pamela, for being so diligent and listening in. She is a transplant to the city of Memphis from one of the Virgin Islands or the Caribbean islands, and she wants very much to hear what Dr. Ava has to say, but she didn't get a chance to hear the interview, so I want to repeat this for those listening audience. If you are listening now live and you want to hear the entire interview, this will be available on blogtalkradio.com. That's blogtalkradio.com. When you get to the search box, type in Nat Turner Library Radio. You're going to see our entire list of our archive on-demand episodes. You are welcome to listen to it from your cell phone, your tablet, or your personal computer, or your iMac, or whatever you have. You can also wait for the upload to the podcast that's going to be on YouTube. You simply type in on YouTube, Nat Turner Library Radio. This will be available, I believe, at the latest would be Sunday morning or tomorrow evening, Saturday, which is the September 29th, around 10 p.m. at the latest. And, brothers and sisters, you can also follow us on Facebook at Nat Turner Library Radio on Facebook search engine, and you'll see the replay posted on one of the podcast things. So tonight's subject is separation, brothers and sisters. We talked about a lot with Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad. We thank Allah for her participation in such a worthy discussion and going around on behalf of the Honorable Ms. Luz Farrakhan to these town hall meetings to help us to live. And so for those who are not familiar with the Nation of Islam, of course I'm a student and a registered member in the Nation of Islam, so I want to share with you what she's referring to. In the back of every final call, and before that Muhammad Speaks, during that time period where it was called that, we have two sections on the back of every newspaper. It's called the Muslim Program, so that you make no mistakes on what we believe and why about this subject. What the Muslims want, number 4, is, and this is as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, and number 5. I'm about to read them to you so you understand in the simplest form what we want and why. Number 4 is what we want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants from slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land and that the area must be fertile, and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in this separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. Now, here's a conditional statement after that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gives us. Since we cannot get along with them in peace and equality after giving them 400 years of our sweat and blood and receiving in return some of the worst treatment human beings have ever experienced, we believe our contributions to this land and the suffering forced upon us by white America justifies our demand for complete separation in a state or territory of our own. Point number 5 in what the Muslims want. We want freedom for all believers of Islam, now held in federal prisons. We want freedom for all black men and women, now under death sentence in innumerable prisons in North as well as the South. We want every black man and woman to have the freedom to accept or reject being separated from the slave master's children and establish a land of their own. We know that the above plan for the solution of the black and white conflict is the best and only answer to the problem between two people. Now, that is as simple and as explanatory as it gets, brothers and sisters. But I want to share with you what my study into the psychology of human beings has led me to understand. Separation is a universal concept whenever there's a conflict between two entities that are not mixing. So they always say you got to separate water from oil. They don't mix. You always, when the last time I went to a zoo here in Atlanta, you don't see the donkeys and the giraffes getting together. They tried to mix certain breeds of species of creatures together, but they don't get along, so they had to separate them. They also know in order to get the benefits of certain vitamins that someone is deficient in, you got to separate it from the whole germ of the vitamin that it comes from, or the natural source. This is a universal concept. But in criminology, you always tell the victim that you have to separate yourself from the offending party. So the topic of discussion in the Me Too movement is rape and molestation. The whole concept of separation is founded in that, because you don't allow for the victim to continue to maintain herself or himself, if it's a male that's the victim, to be in the presence of the victimizer. So this thing is not a hate teaching. There's only two entities, or I should say 3 entities, that hate this idea of separating from anything that is harmful to you. That is those that are psychologically inept. They're called codependent human beings. These are people, according to psychology, go look it up. Codependence is simple. If you think you need something that is harmful to you, now this is universal. This could be as simple as food. If you're a food addict and you think you need alcohol, okay, or you think you need that marijuana joint, if you think you need that blunt, if you think you need to have raunchy sexual relations outside of marriage, these are things that are harmful to you. If you think you need it or you're codependent, or they call it in the world of addiction, it's a dependence. These are things that you, brothers and sisters, we have to understand is a universal concept, not just for addictive behavior, but for the behavior of those people that are harmful for many, many things in life. Brothers and sisters, I want you to understand what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is presenting. Dr. Ava brought up a great point about what we need and what we don't need. Brothers and sisters, I want to share with you what she's referring to. Those of us who are students of history, we know that every black invention of substance, or every invention of substance, came from a black person. So I just want to take a couple of minutes, for those who are not aware, to talk about it. We're at the end of the summer and the early fall. And if you live in the South, summer lasts from pretty much from March through early October. You know, it's hot. It's anywhere from 70 degrees to 90 degrees during that time period. So the air conditioning unit was invented in 1949 by Frederick M. Jones, a black man. Okay? No, it wasn't anyone else. Air conditioning was invented by Frederick M. Jones. Okay, now if you need to understand an automatic fishing device, those who see these different shows and all these commercial fishings, the automatic fishing device was invented by G. Cook in 1899. If you're driving a car, okay, the automatic gear shift was invented by Richard B. Spikes in 1932, a black man. Okay? For those of you who go to Popeyes and different places, you like biscuits, the biscuit cutter was invented by A.P. Ashburn, a black man. I mean, I can keep on going, but I'm just going to mention a few. The dustpan, Lawrence P. Ray in 1897, a black man. Egg beaters, for those of you who like eggs. Egg beaters, the whole machine, 1884, invented by Willie Johnson, a black man. Now, if you live indoors, and you like light, like we're looking at light right now, the electric lamp and the electric lamp bulb was invented by Lewis Latimer in 1882, March 21st. Lewis, Lewis Latimer. He invented the electric lamp. That was a black man, brothers and sisters. Now, for those of you who ever had a fire, whether it be in your home or your car, the fire extinguisher was invented by a black man named T.J. Marshall in 1872. If you like to type anything, typewriter was invented by Burridge and Marshman in 1885. I mean, these are some very significant inventions. These are not all of them. These are just a few. Ironing board. Now, how many people iron clothes to this day? An ironing board was invented by a sister named Sarah Boone in December 30th, 1887. Now, check this out, brothers and sisters. The lawnmower was invented by J.A. Burr, black man, May 19th, 1889. And I'm going to just leave it with one other simple thing. Ice cream. For every person who's ever ate ice cream. This was invented by Augustus Jackson. This is a black man. Brothers and sisters, there's so many more that I could read, but we don't really want to take too much of that time. What we need, brothers and sisters, is unity. We got everything we need. There's so many inventions, I can't even go through them all. There's so many people. From raising from the Internet, there was a brother who did what we call the Internet Protocol for the United States military. They took his invention and privatized it and sold it to whatever company is out there now. So anyone who's on the Internet, that's the entire planet, owes homage to the black man who invented it. And if you're speaking or listening to this show on the cell phone, a black man invented that too. But he's not the richest man in the world because the patent was stolen. Brothers and sisters, we don't need white folk for nothing. We don't need them for anything. That's not hate teaching. We're at that point now. So we want to finish a discussion we started earlier because this is about separation, but it has to do with our brother Bill Cosby, who's always commended the Nation of Islam. I want you to hear the true reason behind Bill Cosby's demise, brothers and sisters. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask the ancestor, Baba Dick Gregory, may Allah be pleased with him, before he returned to the essence, he had a conversation with someone who interviewed him about Dick Gregory, about Bill Cosby and why these things were happening to him. So let's go to that clip.
Bill Cosby was getting ready to die. NBC. White supremacy came in and said, I have a right to. Well, you see, there's a thing called racist white folks giving them a liberation holiday. That's what Cosby show was. He didn't know it. Huh? You ever met a black person named Huxtable? Dr. Huxtable? Yeah?
I'm sorry, I haven't.
Okay? That name don't threaten white folks. Huh? So when you put this show on and come out with facts, white folk can't wait to get the Bill Cosby show. This is what you niggas complaining about. If you was like Bill Cosby, went to school, got a good education, look at your children. Them children be going somewhere on Saturday dressed up. Everybody else is going. Rich white folk going to the park. That's what you call a liberation holiday. He's not aware of it. Huh? That was the game. A liberation holiday. Huh?
It's uncut. It's pure.
Yeah, and so consequently, when the Bill Cosby thing hit, he was negotiating buying NBC. Oh, that's when he killed his son. Let me ask you a question. White folks love Bill Cosby so much. They had commercials, man, where little white children was riding his back eating tapioca out of his eardrums. Daddy Bill. And so, how do...
Brothers and sisters, what you just heard was a interview that someone had done with Baba Dick Gregory, may Allah be pleased with him, about the conspiracy against Bill Cosby. Real simple, put it simple. Twice, he put a down payment. I believe it was something in the area of $125 million, if I remember correct. You can fact check me on that. I don't know if that's the exact figure. On NBC, the network, not a channel, not a show, the entire network. And he was serious about that, and so he was in the process of closing the deal, brothers and sisters, on buying NBC. Now let's look at the facts here. Here's a man. This is all prior to these accusations and prior to any of this stuff that you hear him going through today. Bill Cosby, not only did he put a down payment on NBC and was in the process of purchasing and acquiring the entire network. Now, NBC's been around for quite a while. He, black man, was going to be the owner of it. He has that kind of money. Well, what ended up happening during that same time period, Bill Cosby came out publicly and said, we ought to be more like the Nation of Islam. Their children are good. They don't drink. Their children are orderly. And look at our children. He said we ought to be more like them. So put the two together around the same time period. You have the settings for what the ADL and the Southern Poverty Law Center calls black identity extremism, because that was kind of extreme. It's like, wait a minute, this man is going to allow someone like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to have a platform, or someone like a Dr. Ava to have a platform, or anyone from our Nawapian family, the Black Panther family, the Moore Science Temple, to come and speak or have shows or have true righteous sitcoms and deal with black sports and things like that. Bill Cosby is a firm advocate for the historically black college and university. All through the Cosby Show, he was the reason I first found out about Morehouse and Spelman and all those HBCUs you see here in Atlanta and others as well. He gave money and honorariums to these schools. This man was pro-black, is pro-black. And so imagine someone of that mental capacity and that power owning an entire network, major network now. This isn't some offspring of someone else's network. So that frightened the establishment. So here they come with these charges. Now, let me be the first to tell you, brothers and sisters, I am not a person who advocates for exoneration of rapists. In fact, the scripture makes it clear when you're dealing with sexual molestation, I should say, or sexual forcible activities and these kind of things, the reality, I'm going to say this clearly, the reality is that anybody who commits rape should be put to death. But what we're dealing with here is selective judgment, because right in the same state, as Dr. Ava and I talked about, and Sister Tangela, our news consultant, talked about a couple of weeks ago, you are right there in that same state. Thousands of Catholic priests. I have nothing against the Catholic Church other than a couple of insanities, but they got a problem with their priests. And so there's not one of them that's been brought up and brought to charges and brought to jail, and that is proof positive information. So if you want to continue to deal with this, brothers and sisters, you're listening to this show and you like this kind of life, you like being brought up on false charges, you like having the IRS take taxes out of your check, and you have people like the other Jewish organizations, such as the ones who accuse us of anti-Semitism, to not pay taxes. You got your tax money going to Israel and other countries and not coming to the black community. If you like the fact that you can be sitting in your own apartment or your own home and getting shot and murdered and stabbed, if you like the fact that your son or your daughter can just be walking or driving home and getting shot by some yahoo who calls himself your community patrol for no reason at all, if you like the fact that your children are being shot up with the MMR vaccine, if you like those things, if you like GMOs being forced upon you, if you like phthalates being put into your fast food in your neighborhood, if you like the fact that your children are being taught homosexuality in public schools on your dime, if you like those things, brothers and sisters, then stay where you are. Love white folk and love the devil. But I want to read for you believers that are listening. In the Nation of Islam, we have Supreme Wisdom Lesson English Lessons number C1. This is what Master W.F. Muhammad told us in reference to this very subject in English Lesson C1, number 6. It says, he likes the devil, talking about the original man. He likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing. Why does he like the devil? Because the devil put fear in him when he was a little boy. Why does he fear now since he is a big man? Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong food. Now, there's more to the Supreme Wisdom Lessons. You want your Supreme Wisdom Lessons? You either register in the Nation of Islam or you go and ask someone to tell you how to register in the Nation of Islam. Go to NOI.org, brothers and sisters, if you're not near a mosque or study group. But the point that the good master, the supreme scientist, our leader, our teacher, the supreme God Allah himself, in the person of a well-made man, Master Fard Muhammad, told us, real simple, that you have fear because it was put into you, brothers and sisters. It was put into me when we were young. That was the 64-year process from the year 1555 to 1619, the unspoken, the undiscussed time period that the enemy does not want to mention. He always says slavery started in 1619. No, it did not. It started in 1555. And if you go to Washington, D.C., you will see that the Washington Monument is 555 feet high, and it symbolizes a 1, which is also a phallus, a white phallus, symbolizing white power. You put the 1 with the 555, you got 1555, the year that the black slaves were brought here right to Washington, D.C. And they completed the process of breaking us in 1619. That is the 64-year process. Ever since then, brothers and sisters, that 64-year process is where they put the fear into us. They stole us, male and female, from our mothers and fathers. They forced us to learn a language other than our own. They gave us food other than what we needed to eat. I heard student minister, Brother Nuri Muhammad of the mosque in Indianapolis mention many years ago how certain food items make you fearful. Dr. Wesley's been on tour the last couple of years in his book dealing with this very subject, how phthalates, which is a chemical in food, and soybeans and other things will make you, including the marijuana that a lot of our people smoke, will make you a fearful person because it adds estrogen to you. And estrogen is the submissive hormone. This is a scientific devil. If you like these things, brothers and sisters, and you think that somehow the mystery God is going to save that from you, let me tell you how Allah works. He tells people, well-made men and women, how to do these things. And now's the time, brothers and sisters, that you got to play your position. We got everything we need. You have a skill set, brother and sister, that's listening to this show that you can bring to this new territory. Brother and sister who's listening, you provide a skill that we need. You provide knowledge that we need. And when I say we, meaning everybody, you have to play your position. Do what Allah gave in you to do. This ain't about everyone doing the same thing. We can do this thing ourselves without an enemy to be there to thwart our needs. And yes, we have to have our own military, brothers and sisters. But I believe if we have the unity, we can make it happen. Allah is with us. He was there in the past for other groups. He can be with us today. And so that brings me to conclude this subject today, which is separation, the benefits of doing for self. We thank Allah for student minister, national spokesperson Dr. Ava Muhammad, and her contribution to the subject tonight. Next week, brothers and sisters, we'll be right back, if it please Allah, with another hard-hitting subject with another group of powerful brothers and sisters and a couple of guests that might be a surprise. So you just have to see if they're going to be here. But I'm going to tell you up front who we're talking about. We're talking about Brother Rizza Islam from out in the West Coast region, the powerful brother who's been going around the country giving knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to vaccines. We're going to continue our fight against the CDC because they are coming after your children, my children, and ourselves, brothers and sisters. That'll be next week. Brother Rizza Islam and the 10-10-15 vaccine chairman right here in Atlanta, Brother Jermaine Muhammad. Brother will be our guest as well for 2 of that show. We'll have them both on. And maybe, if she's able to, Sister Yah Sentawa, our powerful sister from the Black Panther Party, second in charge of the National Black Panther Party. This is our sister who had just completed a victory. I'm going to let her tell you what that is for black people dealing with vaccines. So, brothers and sisters, we want you to tune in next week, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want you to continue to listen in to the Nat Turner Library Radio Show. I want you to go to bromichaelmuhammad.com, brothers and sisters. Go to my website. This ain't for free now. We need money. Okay, support KHABooks.com. Support the founder. Freedom ain't free, brothers and sisters. Listen to this show in its archive and all the other shows. Support Minister Ava at ministerava.com. Support your 3-year economic program and the Muhammad Farms with Dr. Ridgely. Go to the Southwest Region NOI website. Brothers and sisters, support your causes. Put your money where you believe, brothers and sisters. And I want to leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you for listening to this episode of Nat Turner Library Radio Show. Peace, brothers and sisters.